Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Wealth Defense Radio, the podcast. I'm your host, Josh Nahosa, and I'm an independent advisor representative for Swan DFW, and I'm sitting across from a self-proclaimed football AI enthusiast. It is Hector and Josh.
Good morning.
Hector is a certified financial planner, which is the top mark in our industry. He's been in the financial world, I guess, since 1995. He founded Swan, which is the company that puts on this podcast, and that stands for Sleep Well at Night. 11 years ago now?
Yeah, 2014.
So your company is now the age of a middle schooler.
That's right.
How does that make you feel?
You know, it was like in a blink of an eye. I can still remember filling out the original LLC stuff. And so, yeah, it's been fast, and we look forward to many, many, many more years.
Today, we are doing a part 2 of the episode we did last week.
That would make sense.
Yep, because last week was, in fact, a part 1.
Okay, I see how this is working now.
Yeah, so this is 10 things no one tells you about retirement. We did the first 5 last week. The 5, in case you missed it, are retirement is empty, beware of the dark side of retirement, avoiding wrong top 10 lists, retirement isn't a feeling, and up-and-coming subtractions. If any of those sound interesting, or if you missed last week's episode, go check it out, either on Spotify or YouTube or Facebook, however you're watching or listening.
Yeah.
This week we have the next 5.
Oh, wait a minute. Didn't you just say that you shouldn't do top 10s?
Well, I think so the point was the wrong top 10s. I think we would say probably this is a right top 10.
Okay. Just for clarity, because, Steven's out there listening to this, and he's going to say, what are you all saying? So, yes, this is the right top 10. Don't do the wrong top 10.
Yeah.
Got it.
So this obviously is different because it's the correct, one of the correct top 10.
Right.
This is the one you want to listen to.
That's right.
There's a lot of bad lists. We think this is a good list.
We think so.
But before we get into that, Hector has our news story of the week. It involves football. It involves AI. He's really into it. It's the only thing he's been able to talk about for the last month and a half.
How about 2 days? So one of the things as we're talking to people and clients and prospective clients, and we try to excite them about artificial intelligence and stuff, is they say, but how is that going to be a part of our life? What does that even mean? I mean, and then I say, well, your GPS, that's kind of artificial intelligence. They go, yeah, but other than that, what would it, it just doesn't make sense in our day-to-day world. It's never going to change. Well, if you were watching the football games this weekend, the 8 playoff games, and one of the teams that played was the Washington Commanders, which used to have a name that we don't use anymore. But their quarterback is a rookie. I don't even remember his name. Not important. Jaden Daniels. He's a rookie, and he's playing amazing football, and as a rookie with a rookie coach, he's got them into the NFC Championship game. And so the question becomes, is he just super talented, or what's the deal? Well, it turns out that there's a company that uses artificial intelligence in virtual reality, and they were selling this product to soccer teams, professional soccer teams. I don't really know how you would use that in professional soccer, but evidently, it wasn't going well. So they started looking for other markets, and they started calling on college football teams, and they went to the Louisiana State University and said, hey, we have this product, and it can simulate a defense or a football game. And the coach said, yeah, I think we're going to try that. And so what they did is load the opponent's defense, and then this quarterback would put the goggles on, and it's a virtual reality of what the other team is doing. So when he comes to the line of scrimmage, he can look at the defense and see what they're getting ready to do. That by itself is pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. But when he got good at it, they sped that up to 1.75. If you ever listen to a podcast at 1.5 or 1.75, so it goes faster. They did that. And so he is seeing everything and having to make decisions. And this thing tracks where he's moving his eyes and stuff like that so the coaches can go back and review with him. So he's doing this in practice at 1.75% or 1.75 times. Yeah. And so when he gets to a regular football game, everything slows down. And so professional quarterbacks like Troy Aikman and Tony Romo have said that the reason that it takes a quarterback 6 or 7 or 8 years to get really good is because it takes them that long for the game to slow down. So artificial intelligence has slowed the game down for this young man. And is it working? Well, he's in the championship game for the NFC. So pretty impressive, I think. And I think more teams are going to start to use it. So there you go. A real live example of how artificial intelligence is making a difference in a football game that most of us would never have thought you could marry those two things together.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons to get excited about artificial intelligence is that you don't know all of the applications right now for it, like practical applications for it. It makes sense that somebody would eventually get to a football application, but I think even a year ago, we wouldn't have thought about this being a thing, or 2 or 5 years ago, whenever he started using it. And so to translate that to like everyday life, we don't know what could pop up in a helpful way for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's happening is, the development of new drugs and stuff. But what about a surgeon who's going to is going to do a very delicate surgery for a heart transplant or something very, very, it doesn't come along very often and he needs to practice. Now, instead of having to have 3 patients and then put the priority patient as the third one so he can practice on the first 2.
Yeah.
Because I would always be the first 2. So yeah. Not worth it. He's worth it. Now they can do the AI and do that really complicated surgery. There's just as you start thinking about it, in those terms, there's so many different applications. And so, we're excited about AI. We're invested in AI. And I think I think this is a good example of how it's going to change things we never would have thought computers could change for us.
Yeah.
Or technology could change for us.
None of what we said is actionable investment advice.
You're going to be a very good compliance officer.
Talk to a financial professional before you do anything crazy. Speaking of financial professionals, if you want to talk to us,
we're professionals.
We are,
and we're not artificially intelligent. We're just naturally intelligent.
Some would say.
I would.
Hector would say. But we have a couple of different ways you can contact us. The first way is via email address. That is info@swandfw.net. That's info, like short for information, at swandfw.net. And we also have a phone number, and that phone number is 888-792-6339. All of those will be in the description wherever it is you are watching. So let's get into our list.
All right.
We have the second 5 things that no one tells people about retirement.
Yeah. And I think one of the reasons we chose this is because most of the stuff that you see, those top 10 lists that you shouldn't be looking at or talk about money. And that's what we do. We want to make sure that financially you're able to retire. But now some of the data and research is saying that even though people are financially ready to retire, they may not be ready emotionally or physically. They may not be in that space. And so we want to put this on tape so that we can share this with people, because we want you to have a financially successful retirement, but we want your retirement to be emotionally and spiritually and physically just a great next chapter of your life.
Yeah. So let's get into it.
All right.
Number 1 here.
Or number 6,
I guess. Retirement doesn't eliminate work. I think a lot of times you're like, I'm retired, I'm not going to do anything. Turns out that's not the case. Most of the time you just are doing different things.
That's right. and we're retiring earlier and earlier. For a long time, retirement meant, because remember, this is a whole new era. It used to be that people would pass at 66 and 67. So you'd retire at 65, you'd take out your house shoes, you'd get on your rocking chair and watch reruns of Lucy. And then you would just kind of basically wait for God to call you home. That doesn't happen anymore. People are taking better care of their lives because of medical technology and stuff. We're living longer, and so we're retiring at 60 or 65 and even 70 and have 20 and 25 more years of life to do. And that's a lot of episodes of Lucy if that's all you're going to do. Mm-hmm. So it's not eliminating work, it's changing or reorienting work. You're going to work at different things. You're going to work at your health. You're going to work at relationships. You're going to identify things that bring more purpose into your life. And you have to protect that because some people will see that you don't have anything to do, so they will start, you're the guy, or, your kids will start asking you to do things. And your work is doing that, is taking better taking care of your health and doing those things that bring you a bigger fulfillment, because most of us got that fulfillment from our jobs. And so it's not eliminating work, it's a new kind of work.
Yeah. So the next one here is the lost and found table, is what it says. Why don't you explain that?
Well, and I think we should kind of point to the article that we pulled this from. This is and it's going to be posted with us. But he talks about when he went to his grandchildren's elementary school, there was a lost and found table, and there was just things that had been separated from their owner, and they had no place to go because they had not found a new owner. And so one of the things that happens to us when we leave work, especially if we've worked for corporate America or for a big company or for a small company for a long period of time, is we're leaving the normalcy of our lives that's been apart for a long, long time. And so you had a tribe, you had a group of people you were doing life with. Maybe part of that life was complaining about staff meetings and projects that were due, but it was a life. You had a goal, you had things that you had to talk about. When you leave that, I think it's important not to be part of that lost and found table. Find something else. Find a new tribe. Find another group of people that you can do life with at the same age, same stage of life, maybe not age, but the same stage of life, and start doing things together. I think last week, as we were signing off, we talked about another study that I read probably a month and a half ago, where a gentleman came to the financial planner. The guy writing it was the financial planner, and said, I want to buy this car. And they were already iffy on whether there was enough money to be, enough money there to do the rest of retirement. They shifted some things, and they said, yeah, go ahead and go buy this older car that he was going to restore. And as a side benefit, what happened is when he bought that car, he also all of a sudden was part of whatever this car was, had its own group of men who were restoring cars, and it was a car club, and there was places that they could show the club, and they would do rides together, and it just became a new tribe for him. And the gentleman writing the story said, this is my brother-in-law. So it's really important. So that's what we're looking for, not necessarily start restoring a car, but find a tribe, find something that maybe you haven't done, but you really wanted to do, and find a group of people to do that with. Don't be part of the lost and found table and just sit there and say, wish somebody would claim me.
Yeah. I think that ties to the next thing, which is just called life on the back burner.
Yeah. Most of us were so focused when we were working that sometimes we worked instead of spending time with our kids and friends and developing those kind of things. So now we retire and now we say, okay, now I want to go spend a bunch of time with my kids. Well, guess what? They're in the middle of their careers and they've got other priorities. And so this could be an ugly catch-22. Now that you have time, they may not have time. The Cat's in the Cradle by Cat Stevens. Cat's in the Cradle?
Oh, that's the name of the song. I don't think that's who.
Yeah, The Cats in the Cradle is a great and very sad song about a guy who has worked hard his entire career. Now he's got some time for his boy, and his boy, all he wants is the car to go on dates, or I'd love to get together with you, Dad, I think is one of the lines, but the kids are sick and the new job's, so that's what happens. And you need to kind of respect that because that's what you did.
Yeah.
Is it Cat Stevens?
It is not. It's just because the name of the song has cats in it does not mean the one musical artist that you know that's named Cat. It's Harry Chapin.
So close.
Yeah, it sounds just like Cat Stevens. Second to last thing here. Yeah. Stop saying you're going to retire to something.
Yeah. And start saying I want to retire with something. The author here is making the point that as soon as I retire, I'm going to start exercising. I'm going to start, taking my golf game more seriously. I'm going to take my friendships more seriously. I'm going to really connect with all of these folks I want to do life with. As soon as I retire, I'm going to do that. It's really hard to start something after you retire. His point is start doing it now. And I think we touched on this too. Men especially have a difficult time forming long-term, deep relationships. And many of the relationships we do have are going to be at work. And so when we leave, those relationships stay. And then we come out here and we got nobody to hang out with, nobody to do stuff with. And so what ends up happening a lot is we start going with our wives everywhere they go. And sooner or later, the wives or the wives' friends go, stop bringing him. He's a real downer. As men especially, but if women too need to be careful of this, is make sure you have a tribe, a group of people that once you retire, you're doing life with, so that you're not trying to start all these things up once you retire. It's easier to keep doing something than to start doing something.
Yeah. And the last thing here, let's get dark.
Well, let's get real dark.
The only guarantee in life
to Texas,
you're gonna die,
and you're gonna die.
You kind of expect, like Hector said earlier, you're gonna live another 20 to 30 years at this point in civilization. It used to be you would live 1 or 2, and now people are living longer, so you kind of expect that, but that's not always guaranteed.
That's right. And you just need to know there's at MetLife, when I worked for MetLife for a long time, we did a study, and it turns out that 100% of people die. And we spent a lot of money on that study, so we're pretty sure it's right.
Yeah.
So I think one, try not to make it quite as dark, but it's still kind of a dark thing. And he makes a list, and we're going to talk about those. But start thinking, well, actually, this might get darker here for a second. Start thinking about what you want people to say at your funeral, or at your celebration of life, or whatever, and start working towards those goals. I think that was something that I was told a long time ago. Hey, start writing what people are going to say about you at your funeral, and all of a sudden that focuses you on the things you want to be remembered for. You don't want to be remembered for the guy that went to work early and stayed late. You don't want to be the guy that is remembered for never being at family events and those kind of things. Those are not the things that come up at a funeral.
Yeah.
And so he makes a list. He says a hospice nurse collected a list of things people said that they regretted as they neared the end of their lives. And by the way, I've been around 3 or 4 hospice situations, and the people that do hospice are, for the most part, just amazing individuals, because they're there at the most, sometimes the saddest and hardest time for a person and for their family. But some of the things she wrote down is, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. That's huge. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Think about that for a minute. I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends, and I wish I had let myself be happier. Those are things that we can today start doing. Be true to yourself. You gotta work, but you don't have to work all the time. Express your feelings. If you can't do that, there are professionals that will help you do that. But you can go, and because that's a hard thing. I think that's why in all the times you see psychiatrists and a character in a TV, especially a comedy, they start with, how do you feel? Because most of us don't even know how we feel. Stay in touch with your friends. Take a minute. Give them a call. Go have lunch with them. Even all of my friends, it's always my time to buy lunch for some reason. And I know that can't be right.
Yeah.
And let yourself be happier. Find ways to laugh and smile and enjoy life. There is no rerun. There is no, well, you get a second take. This is it. So be happy. What is it? Don't worry. Be happy.
Yeah. Who sang that song?
Cat Stevens.
That is not Cat Stevens.
Could be Cat Stevens.
Well, Hector may not be a great guesser of who sings what song. He is a certified financial planner, which is the top mark in our industry. And we are a retirement firm. So if you want to talk to us about retirement
or anything else financial,
again, we have a couple of different ways you can do that. That is info@swandfw.net for email. That's 888-SWAN-DFW if you're calling, or 888-792-6339 if you don't want to do that conversion on the fly, looking at your phone with the letters under the numbers. All of that will be in the description wherever you're watching or listening.
Yeah, and like us, promote us, share it, leave us a comment. This helps us reach other people. But the most important thing, if this made sense to you and you want to share this with somebody, maybe your spouse, maybe your friend, maybe the guy who just retired or is thinking about retiring, please share that. Please share this with people.
Yep. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. The preceding content is informational only and based on information available when created. It is not an offer or solicitation, nor is it tax or legal advice. It does not consider your financial circumstances and objectives and may not be suitable for you.